Side Hustle Show 277, how to set up and sell a group coaching program. What's up? Nick Loper here. Welcome to the Side Hustle Show, because a good life might just be holding you back from a great life. I've got an exciting and empowering episode for you today with a former special needs teacher who took his writing side hustle and turned it into a full-time business. Paul Brody of BrodyEDU.com is an 11-time Amazon best-selling author, and his books have translated into $3,000 speaking gigs, one-on-one coaching, and the group coaching program we're going to dive into today. Paul presents group coaching as a way to help more people at the same time achieve their desired results while better leveraging your own expertise and, importantly, your hours. So stick around to hear how Paul came up with the idea for his program, how he structured and priced it, and how he sold it and continues to sell it without a huge email list or built-in audience. Notes and links for this one, along with a free PDF highlight reel with all of Paul's top tips from this episode, are at sidehustlenation.com/Paul. Now, Paul had a background in education, and I think he's a natural teacher, but he still had a lot to learn about running an online business. And that's where our sponsor, Skillshare.com, comes in. Skillshare is the online learning community with over 19,000 classes in marketing, business, social media, and tons more. Basically, any skill you need to get your side hustle off the ground or take it to the next level. These are practical, on-demand classes taught by industry experts and insiders. And how about this? Side Hustle Show listeners get 2 months of unlimited access for just 99 cents. Hit up Skillshare.com/sidehustle to claim that deal. You can check it out at Skillshare.com/sidehustle. I'd also like to thank TextExpander.com for sponsoring this episode. They're a brand new sponsor to the show, but if that tool sounds familiar, it's because they actually got a couple free shout outs in last week's Productivity Roundup, where I asked some of my most successful and productive friends for the tools they can't live without. That's how cool this thing is. Basically, TextExpander is going to make you feel like a productivity ninja. It allows you to create your own keyboard shortcuts for the things you type or copy and paste all the time, like email addresses, URLs, proposals, answers to your FAQs. I think you're going to love it. Visit textexpander.com/podcast for 20% off your first year. That's textexpander.com/podcast to start working smarter today. I'll be back with my top takeaways from this chat with Paul after the interview. Ready? Let's do it.
So I started writing and publishing my books in July 2015. And during that time, I wrote the first book about Eat Less and Move More, about health and wellness and the weight I lost and mainly the methods in which I struggled, but also how I was able to keep that weight off. And then after that, I wrote my first motivational book, so to speak, called Motivation 101. And the whole point of that was to build my speaking business. And it went to a point where we were charging around $500 per speech, and we were able to now charge up to $3,000 because that book not only became a bestseller, but just having that title of not only a published author, but a best-selling author, it not only really warms you up to campuses and to different companies, but it gives you that authority for being that best-selling author. So I wrote Motivation 101, and then I wrote a book after that called Positivity Attracts, which is also based on the speaker series. That became a bestseller. And then I had people coming up to me, fellow authors that were in the genre, and also other people that wanted to learn how to write books. They're like, wow, you've got 3 books now. Can you teach me how to do it? And this completely came out of left field. I wasn't expecting it. So it's really fun. I love talking about publishing. So I was more than happy to help them. I started taking clients on 101 and helping them write, publish, market their books. And I was able to show them the same frameworks that I've used to take my books to #1 bestseller. And then they were doing the same thing. And it just got to a point where it just snowballed.
Yeah.
And then I was working full time. I was teaching 101. And then I had this huge epiphany after I read this book. And I want to give my business coach all the credit in the world for it. It's called $1 Million Coach. It's by Taki Moore. He is my business coach. And it really opened my eyes because it showed me how I could no longer have to do just one-on-one coaching, where I could actually coach one-to-many. So I could coach anywhere from 1 to up to 100 people, if not more, by having this group coaching program. And how it works is that they get different modules every week. So every week we drip a new module to them for 10 weeks. And then we will do live group coaching calls every 2 weeks with that. So it was a lot of work to get things started, because the way that we did it was we gave it a test run and we ran a live webinar. And after the webinar, we had 5 people sign up, which I was like, wow, this is amazing. People are already paying money for this program. They feel there's a lot of value. So then I had everything outlined. We talked about the different things that was going to help them. So then I just had to create it from there. So every week for that first class of authors that went through the program, I created a new module every week. So for the first week, it was a module on finishing your draft, where basically it's why are they writing their book, different idea topics, outlining, writing, all that fun stuff. And then also helping them with the book title and subtitle, with finding an editor and getting the book format. So it was a ton of content for that very first module, but it helped them hit the ground running. And how I did it was with a video capture software and a Microsoft PowerPoint. And we just went deep into that subject and ended up with a 40-minute module. And that was module number 1. And then we built it for module 2, which is choosing the book cover. Then we went to module 3, which is book description. We got through uploading your book, getting reviews. And then to module 6 and 7, we covered marketing. Module 8 was like on revenue streams, where we showed them how they could create a paperback and audiobook version and step-by-step guides. And then we would have module 9, which was how to build their audience through email list building, websites, lead magnets. And then module 10 with back-end products, where how they could leverage their book into multiple streams of income, like we talked about with speaking, with doing online courses and coaching opportunities. And by dripping that content for one module every week, it didn't burn them out. So they weren't too worried about it because they weren't getting everything at once. Because I know if I got a new course with 10 hours of content, it would be very overwhelming. So I would just tell them, hey, if you can invest an hour every week to watching the module, and then just give me an extra hour every other week so we can do a live group coaching call together where I can answer any questions that you have. And then as a bonus, I would give them that access for the live group coaching calls for a year. And it's just been a really great combination where we have the pre-recorded information with the modules, and then they're also going to get updates to those modules as well. So anytime that we make a change or anything changes, which happens all the time with Amazon, we're able to go back in there, make changes, and then send a notification, hey, we have new content.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. So So selling on a live webinar, 5 signups, basically pre-selling this thing. Like, okay, here's what I've been able to do with self-publishing. Here's what I can teach you. And if you sign up, this is what you'll get for the next 10 weeks. Having none of it created yet. Now we're going to create it as we go. I think that's a cool way to do it. You get 5 signups, which is awesome. You said, what was the price point on it?
Price point was $1,500.
Okay, so not messing around on price either. A good chunk of change there. Tell me about, where did you get the audience for that webinar? Let's start there.
The beauty of the email list. So it was basically everyone from my email list plus other authors and associates that I've actually coached one-on-one. And that was my first class of students.
Okay, so even one-on-one clients were prospective students, or they invited their lists?
No, they were invited directly by me, where I went, hey, I'm creating this program. I think it's going to be really helpful because not only would you get the value of working together with you and going through what you need, but also you're going to get these modules where we're going to be taking deep dives into all these different areas.
Okay.
And that's the thing that really sold them, plus the fact that they had lifetime access to it.
Okay. So the email list came from your books that you'd built over the last couple of years?
Yes.
Do you remember how many people were registered for the webinar at the time?
On the first webinar, it was, I think we had just under 50. And then of the 50, I think our show up rate was about 22, which wasn't bad for a webinar. Typically, if you get 35%, you're doing well.
Yeah, so you're shooting a little over 40% show up rate, and then closing 25% of those, that seems really strong.
Well, and it really helped too, because the audience was not only warmed up, but I also had people that I was helping one-on-one as well. So we already had that relationship built. So it was a great combination to be able to utilize the clientele to get them through. And they loved the program. That was the best part, because anytime you're building something new, you're never 100% sure. And the feedback that we got, and not only was it great feedback, I had people in the program writing testimonials within a few weeks. And I'm going, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And then what we did was we actually changed our model from live webinars to an evergreen webinar. And we took the best of our content, we went back, we recorded an evergreen, and then that runs now on a 24/7 loop through Stealth Seminar. And that has proven to help, because we have people trickling in now all the time that want to get their books done. And we cater to people that are entrepreneurs, people that want to grow their businesses, want to scale their businesses. But we also cater to those who want to just get their book out there, that want to check off that item on the bucket list.
Okay. And the Evergreen webinar tool was called Stealth Seminar?
Yeah, that is the service that I use.
Okay. What other tech is going into the back end of this? What was the first live webinar host that you used?
The first live webinar host we used, and I still use this for our live group coaching calls, is GoToWebinar. And there's a couple of reasons for that, Nick. One, it is more expensive, but it is also the most reliable. We've had some issues with Webinar Jam, with Webinar Ninja, and we just found that it was better to spend a little bit more money to know that it's going to be stable and know that we're not going to have any major problems. So we've been very fortunate. And typically what I'll do just to be safe is kind of like what we're doing in this conversation right now, is that I have my laptop hooked up directly into my modem too. So we're not just relying on Wi-Fi, because as you know, with Wi-Fi, you never know what can happen.
You never know. And that makes sense. When you're talking about making $7,500 on your first webinar, it's like, hey, an extra 30 or 40 for the more reliable software. Yeah, it's a drop in the bucket.
It really is, because sometimes you got to spend money to make money, and you can't skimp on things as important as streaming webinars, because I look at more about the money that we would lose versus the extra cost.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of things, so if you're saying like, well, I don't have an email list, it's like, we're talking about 50 people. Like, I'm sure you can find 50 people to invite to a webinar, not huge numbers, but pretty big results for the first time out. And kind of pre-selling it. Did you have a cutoff in your mind where it's like, okay, if I get 2 signups, that's not really worth it, I'm not going to do this? Or where you're like, I think there's demand here. I don't know. Was there a cutoff in your mind for how many would make it worthwhile?
One of my main philosophies, Nick, and this is the way I look at it with all my books, I call it the power of one. And that is, if one of my books can help one person, it's all worth it. And my philosophy was the same thing with this. It was, if I would have at least one person sign up for this program, then I know it's valuable and I know it's going to work. Because we did take a risk, but the risk paid off, because not only did they sign up for it, but they've loved the program. And the most important thing is, it's basically developed a proven system. It works. And the most important thing is, as long as they are willing to take an hour a week of their time and invest in this course, then they've got frameworks and they have a proven system that is going to get them to a #1 bestseller. They just have to be willing to put the work in.
Yeah, it sounds so. This is kind of in a unique contrast to Natalie Ekdahl's mastermind business from a couple months ago. She openly said, like, I'm not providing coaching. My service is bringing these entrepreneurial women together. Whereas you're saying, look, I've got this system. I'm going to teach you in kind of a structured format, and we're going to add kind of this group Q&A, right? So you're not taking one-on-one calls, but you're saying, hey, I'm holding office hours basically at these set times every couple weeks, right?
You're absolutely correct with that. And that's one of the things too. You have to figure out what is going to be the best fit for you. And I actually had the pleasure of listening to your conversation with Natalie. I thought it was excellent. And it just depends where you are in your career. With me, I love to coach because I was a teacher for 9 years. And that's always been a big passion of mine, is helping other people and also helping them get results. So as me being a teacher and a coach, for me, that was the best fit. And to be able to create this group model where we can have multiple people in this program throughout the year, and we can help them get proven results. And then if they do have problems, they have access to me 24 hours a day via email. And then they've also got the live group coaching calls, and they're automatically enrolled in all the calls for the next year. So that's completely automated, that when they sign up for the course, I add them to our live group coaching calls, and they're signed up for every 2 weeks now through the end of December. Okay.
And so outside of your kind of initial investment in doing the recordings, creating the training, creating the course, and updating it, of course, whenever something changes or something needed to add, your exposure is just this live group coaching call. Is it a 60-minute call every couple of weeks?
That's exactly what it is. Every other Thursday at 5:30 Central Time, we do the calls. And it doesn't matter where in the world I am. I've done calls on the rooftop of a hotel in Redondo Beach. I've done calls from the condo in Maui, went on vacation over there, done calls in Vegas. So it doesn't matter where I am, because the great thing about this job is virtual, where as long as you have a laptop, a solid Wi-Fi connection, and a webcam, then you can do this anywhere in the world. It's tremendously liberating to be able to have this type of opportunity.
Do you find through conversations with customers and stuff, they were more interested in the training material, or they're more interested in these office hour Q&A sessions?
I would say it's a combination. And that's why I really like the structure of it, because not only are they going to get the modules, they're going to get the updates, but most importantly, they're going to have 24/7 access to me. And I have several of the authors, they'll reach out a couple of times a week, go, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And the other thing we have is we also have a private Facebook community that they also get lifetime access to, where they can post in the group about different covers, different questions they have. And since I'm in the group too, I can also answer in there, or the community can answer and give them advice as well with that.
Okay, that's like for feedbacking in between the calls, or if the timing doesn't work. Is it a set time every week? That's something that I've struggled with in trying to set up a time that works for everybody. Or do you just say, this is the time that it's going to be, take it or leave it?
To answer that question, I'm going to answer with a combination. So when we first started, I wanted to do it at Thursday at 5:30 Central Time. I felt it was the best fit. But what happened was I had a couple of authors go, hey, could we change it to Mondays at 5:30? And I did that, and our show-up rate was abysmal for that day, so it just didn't fit. So I said, guys, executive decision, I'll go back to Thursdays, and it kept building from there now, where we always have a great turn-up rate. And it just, they know, same bat time, same bat channel, every other Thursday, don't matter where I'm on the planet, we're having this phone call. If I'm sick, that doesn't matter. This is the commitment that I've made to you guys. I'm going to be there, and I'd love to have you take part as well.
Yeah. This has been one of the most valuable aspects. I joined Monica Louie's Facebook ads course last year, and similar, like every couple of weeks, she has the group coaching call where you jump on. Usually it's like a deep dive. Somebody's looking for feedback on their ad campaign. And it's super helpful. So it's like going through, similar. Here's the training course. Go through it at your own pace. She did it. You could do it all at once instead of like this drip fed thing, but you go through it. And then if you have any questions, hey, either ask in the Facebook group or save them up for the twice a month group calls. Now, in terms of selling it, I imagine it's open and shut because you're kind of putting everybody through at the same time. Week 1 is finish your draft. Week 2 is do the formatting, all this stuff. How does that work?
Well, the nice thing is they can join at any time. So after we had this first class in, that's when we started doing with the Evergreen webinar, where anyone can sign up when they want, and they're going to start right at that point. So you might have students in different modules in different areas, but you're always going to get some of the same commonalities in regards to marketing questions, about book covers, about titles, about different formatters or different outlines that they're wanting to do. But the thing is, a lot of these things do become universal no matter what module that they're in. So now that we have the first group through, we drip it out now where they can join whenever they want. But just having those modules every week really does help because, and I think it helps for one or two reasons. One, it helps because it's not going to burn them out. But secondly, on the business side, it's going to help me because you will get those occasional people that might just join your program and then basically watch everything and then want the refund within 30 days. Now, from a business standpoint, with dripping it out for 10 weeks, that ensures that as long as your content is strong, that you're going to get very few refund requests. So that's another, just from the business side of it, the benefit of dripping out that content, where you don't necessarily have to worry about someone just going in there, watching everything, and then opting out, because you will get those occasionally. While rare, it does happen.
Okay. Is there a limit to how many people you could take at any one time, realistically?
No, there really isn't. We could take up to 100. And that's the nice thing about this group coaching model. And now with automating even further, we just signed up for MemberMouse, where everything is going to be automated, where they will automatically receive the modules every Thursday. They're going to receive that content, where it's literally, we're going to put them in one time in the system, and then the live group coaching calls, they're all booked for them. And then every Thursday, they're going to receive that content. So we're at the point now where we're wanting to automate as much as possible and then just give the best quality content we can during the live group coaching calls, and also with making any adjustments and changes and updates with the weekly modules as well with that.
Okay. MemberMouse is managing the backend login for your system, or is also the email provider to say like, hey, module 3 is ready now?
Yeah, basically it's going to run on a CRM with Drip, which is the service I use for my emails and for automation.
Okay.
And they're basically going to work in concert together, where they'll get a notification, hey, your new module is available, here's the link, and they'll go to MemberMouse and actually watch the content and see the description on that.
Okay, gotcha. What's filling the top of the funnel for you today? I imagine people are still reading your books. People are still coming into the email list that way. But I mean, are you actively driving blog traffic, Facebook ad traffic? Where are new people coming from?
Well, they're all coming from my books. I've got 11 books out right now. Every one of those books has a different type of offer. Now, in regards to increase in traffic, I do have one of my books, Book Publishing for Beginners, which is actually a free book. So that has helped to drive a little more traffic to it.
Well, that one's probably the best fit for teaching people self-publishing. You got other books on traveling to San Diego and stuff. It's like, well, that's maybe people are interested in self-publishing, maybe not.
Well, and the funny thing is, so one of my most recent signups, he actually opted in to a guide from one of my seminar books called Just Do It, which was about procrastination. So he stopped procrastination by joining the program and is now becoming an author. But yeah, in regards to marketing, we've utilized Facebook advertising. I also like utilizing joint ventures, which has been a new area for us in the past few months. And that has proven to be really nice. And the thing with that, I don't mind giving a JV partner 50%. And I also offer to cover all transaction fees. So the transaction fees with Stripe, then I'm happy to take care of those, because with it being a one-to-many program, I want this to be as much of a win-win as possible for my JV partners and for my affiliates as well. Now, another thing that we utilize too, Nick, is referrals. And I only do this with clients that have completely finished the program. So they've gone through all the modules. They absolutely love the program. And then I just ask them very simply, and that is, I would love to have someone just like you that is driven, that is passionate, that's going to implement. So if you know anyone that you feel would benefit from this program, then please send them my way. And we've actually gotten a few referrals by going through that method. And I've actually gone a non-traditional route where I joined our local Chamber of Commerce here in Arlington back in January. And ever since joining, I've now met multiple members in the chamber that want to write their book and get published in this year. And all the local leads, they're warm leads, and it's just been a new avenue for marketing outside the box versus just on the internet side where you get involved more locally. Because I like the idea of utilizing both the internet and cultivate new client relationships locally, because you never know what's going to happen with internet marketing. And I really do feel that it needs to be in multiple channels, because what happens if Facebook one day no longer exists? I mean, do you remember MySpace from like 10 years ago?
Yeah, I kind of missed the MySpace train, but I remember it.
Yeah, it's like the internet's abandoned amusement park. I mean, like no one is there anymore. So, and the other question you have to ask is, what happens if Amazon makes a change in the future with Kindle and no longer allows websites to be promoted in Kindle books? So it's one of those things like, what if they disable that link? Because you never know. So I always feel that marketing needs to happen not only from some of the new ways of Facebook advertising and with book giveaways, but also doing it a little more old school where you join a local chamber and you have valuable services out there, because that's one of the best ways, not only with warm leads, but also to really differentiate your marketing. And I think that's one thing that more people could definitely utilize going forward.
Yeah. In ballpark numbers, you don't have to share if you're not comfortable, like how many people are joining up every month?
Typically, and I'll tell you already, just for February alone, that we have added 4 to the program. So, and that's at $1,500 a pop. I will tell you that 2 of the 4 paid in full, and then the other 2 paid in installments, where they can do $500 a month for 3 months.
Okay.
So, and I will tell you this, when I recorded our last webinar, we were right at 30. And I believe right now we are at 36 people that have signed up since we started doing this in June. So they're trickling in quite nicely. I anticipate we will be at least 50 by June. And I anticipate we're going to be at 100 by the end of the year, because things are really at a point now where we're taking it to the acceleration level.
Wow, that's awesome, Paul. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You're a former teacher, and I'm curious, did you have any qualms or hesitation about selling, of asking for the sale, just sticking your flag in the sand and being like, $1,500, press hard, sign up here?
Asking for the sale is not always the easiest thing to do. Fortunately, both my parents were insurance executives and were top sellers in their field. So I've been around sales all my life.
Okay.
My high school job was working in market research, where, those people out there, and I don't know if they're still out there, but they used to be out there in the mall asking if you'd like to take a survey. I was one of those guys. So you got used to hearing no's and rejections quite often.
Okay.
Did that for a while. And then after college, I actually worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And it was one of the best things I ever did, because I got to learn about sales and service and closing them on buying insurance on the cars, but also on sell-ups. And most importantly, also working on different types of corporate programs that they have, where we would sign up people for the corporate services if they had companies. So I got to learn a lot about that. And then I went into teaching soon after that. So I still had the sales experience, but also had the teaching part. And my master's is in teaching, but my bachelor's is in business. And I think for being a coach, that is one of the best combinations that you can have, with having the teaching side and also having that coaching side to go with that, and the business and the entrepreneurial mindset that goes with that.
Yeah. Have you tested any other price points, or do you have like a high tier and a low tier or anything like that?
We've actually tinkered with the price a little bit. At the start of the year, at the very start, I experimented with moving it for $1,997, and it just wasn't the right fit. And then we also increased the monthly installments to like $797 a month. And I asked for honest feedback over it, and they said, yeah, it wasn't the right fit. It just seemed a little bit too much. So I went back to the 1,500 point, and everything just started to click again. And I'm going, why am I tinkering with the price where it's proven it works and it's a one-to-many model, so to speak? So yeah, let's go back to the $1,500 price point. Let's go back to the previous price and let's focus on that. And that's what I'm committed to doing, as long as people are willing to watch the webinar or willing to set up a quick 15-minute call where basically we can answer any questions that they have. And it's one of those things where it's not salesy. We literally set up a call on Calendly, and then we do the call like, hey, what questions do you have? And that's it. And we just dig deeper and we find out, hey, if they're a great fit. And if not, hey, here's a couple of books you can check out. This might be the better fit for you.
Okay, so the 15-minute calls, those are for people who watched the webinar but didn't buy. Like, hey, if you have any questions before you join, let's talk.
We have that. And then we also just offer it for those who have read one of the books. So if they've read Book Publishing for Beginners or Book Publishing for Authors, are like, okay, I think I'm ready to go ahead and do this. I don't need the webinar. Let's go ahead and set up a call.
Okay.
And that's how we set that up as well. So we have two different models with that. But I'll tell you, out of most of the people that sign up for the webinar and actually buy the course, they will buy it directly. But we will have a percentage of people that do want the call. And then we'll get on the call with them. We'll answer questions. And typically, most of them, I would say 75%, sign up from that point. But I think the main thing is you have to build trust and realize, hey, we're not going to be salesy about this. We're just going to answer any questions that you have. And if it's a great fit, then we'll go ahead. And it's just having a real casual mentality with that, where they're not going to get sold. They're not going to get pitched. There's like, hey, this will help you. And this is how it's going to do that.
Yeah. Do you take payment over the phone? Like, hey, what's your credit card number? Or do you just like, oh, I'm going to send you a link? Because like a lot of people, and even people in the different mastermind groups that I'm in, like, hey, I got somebody sold over the phone, and then we hung up, and then I didn't hear from them from a couple of days. It's like, you got to strike while the iron's hot in a way.
So this is what I do with that. And I don't do operators are standing by, buy now, or any of that good stuff. Typically, what I will do is this. And this is where I will give Taki a lot of credit, because he taught me a ton about future pacing. And typically how it works is I basically say it like this. When they're ready to say yes, then I'm going to future pace them. And I'm going to tell them, hey, once payment is made, this is what's going to happen. You're going to receive the welcome bonus module. You're going to receive module number 1, and you're going to receive access to our private Facebook group. Every Thursday, you're going to get a module each week until you receive module number 10. After module 10 is delivered, you're going to get the final bonus, and that is the graduation module. And you're going to get that a few days after module 10 is delivered, where we will review what you've learned, and we're going to cover next steps. And then you're also going to receive an email that confirms enrollment in all of our live group coaching calls for the rest of the year. And then after a couple of weeks, once you got settled in, then I'm going to reach out to you personally so we can set up our one-on-one bonus strategy session. And that just helps them get really clear on where they want to go with their books. And typically by future pacing it, then that really works. And the main thing I stipulate is once payment is made, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And we rarely have a problem. I would say 85% that we will get payment. And in the email, I actually will, if they don't already have the link up, I will send them the link with the information.
Okay. Is MemberMouse handling payment processing for you too, or who's doing the credit card processing?
No, that would be Mr. Brunson at ClickFunnels. So I have a ClickFunnels page, and then that's also hooked up with Stripe as well.
I'm just taking notes on all the tech behind here. ClickFunnels and Stripe.
It is quite the infrastructure, but once you have set your foundation, it really does literally run itself. And that's why I want to make clear that you can do this in less than 5 hours a week. And in all honesty, you could probably do it in 2 to 3 hours, especially if you've already got all your marketing automated. Then you can just focus on the fun stuff, which is the live group coaching calls and just making sure those modules are the best they can be with the updates.
Yeah, it sounds, I mean, it's really interesting to hear kind of what you've put in place to encourage participation and really success through the program. It's like, look, we're not going to overwhelm you. We're going to drip feed it out. So you got to like, look, you got your homework is to do this one thing a week. And then by the end of 12 weeks, I think that's the reason that you've been successful. Similar, Chandler Bolt at Self-Publishing School. It's like, look, we're not going to let you fail. You got to do this step by step system. All the Amazon FBA courses, similar, like there's a well-defined endpoint. Like you're going to have a book, you're going to have a product launched on Amazon. And I think that's kind of maybe what I've been struggling with in coming up with a group coaching program, because it's like, well, start your side hustle. And it's like, it's hopelessly broad. So it's like trying to narrow it down. So you know how to start a specific brand of side hustle or something like that. What's next? You just going to keep putting the pedal to the metal on this group program, or what else got going? What else got cooking this year?
Well, the next thing, and it's actually funny you mentioned that, because the next thing is actually called Next. So it is a group coaching program. It is for authors, entrepreneurs, business owners, and coaches who want to scale their business to the next level. And it's going to be a 24-week program. And if they go through the book publishing for authors implementation program first, then it will start after they get the final module from the implementation program. And it's going to be 12 video modules in the group. But this one's going to be a little different because we're going to deliver it every 2 weeks. And essentially what we're doing, I think you're seeing where I'm going with this, we're going to alternate them. So they're going to get a module, then you're going to have a live group coaching call. They're going to get another module, and then they're going to get a live group coaching call. And we're going to try that out, see how it works. But they're basically going to do the group calls every 2 weeks in the program and get a module every 2 weeks. And some of the different things we're going to cover, we're going to talk about how to use Amazon Marketing Services to sell their book. So if they've already got that book out there, the next thing you're always thinking of, okay, I've got this book out there. I've got this proven system. What's next? Well, the next thing is we're going to talk about Amazon Marketing Services. We're going to talk about different ways that you can relaunch your book every 30 to 60 days to keep it relevant. We're also going to talk about developing a communication rhythm on social media. We're going to talk about how to automate your business to save you time, kind of like the things that we've been talking about, Nick. We're going to talk about strategies to increase list engagement. We're going to talk about different ways that you can have financial business goals set up for the next year, and also how you can create your own program very similar to what they've seen through both of our group coaching programs, and then also implementing a long-term game plan for book creation and launches, because a book's a book, and having that first book out there is awesome, but then you have to really realize what is next. So the next thing is you want to build your second book, then your third book, and really create a rhythm to go with that, where you're slowly building the empire, so to speak, building the nation, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. That's pretty cool. Curious to hear how that one shakes out.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Well, very cool, Paul. Anything else that people ought to know about doing the whole group coaching model?
I think the main thing is don't be afraid to do it. See if you've got a market for it. Everyone has something great to give. Every single person. Everyone has knowledge they can share. They have different people they can help. And this is one of the best ways to do it, because you're not going to get burned out by doing this. With 101, it can be very easy to burn out. And with a group coaching model, you're not going to have to worry about that. It's hard work at first once you're building the program, but once you get the course done, then it really becomes much easier. And then it's just tweaking and making things the very best that they can be.
Yeah. Well, I'm loving this. I'm going back to the drawing board, figuring out what that side hustle group program might look like. Maybe dust off some of the content that we did for a challenge a few years ago. BrodieEDU.com is the site. BrodieEDU.com is where you can find more about Paul. And if you hit BrodieEDU.com/SHN, you'll be able to grab that free book on self-publishing for beginners. Paul, thanks so much for joining me. Let's wrap this thing up with your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation.
Take the plunge. Start creating your own group coaching program. Start it with an outline. Sell the benefits of the program through a live or recorded webinar, and reach out to people who you know who could benefit from it. Because once you have at least a few people enrolled, then start to expand on your outline and go into great detail in each area of content from your outline. Because in my view, and we just talked about this, everyone has at least one thing they can teach. I coach one-on-one exclusively before I changed my business model, and it ensured that I was not only able to leave teaching, but also I don't have to worry about ever returning to a 9-to-5 job. Because one-to-many is the best way to create more time for yourself and have the freedom to be able to do this anywhere in the world. It is hard work at first, set the program, recording the content, but after everything is done, all you need to do is automate the program as much as possible, make updates, and the most important thing, have fun with it.
Amen. Everybody has at least one thing they can teach. Paul, thanks so much, man. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, Nick. It's been a pleasure.
What's the most important skill for side hustlers and entrepreneurs? I used to think it was creativity. After all, you've got to create something before you can go out and find customers for it. But lately, I'm becoming more and more convinced that the most important skill is actually the meta skill of learning new skills. And that's where today's sponsor, Skillshare.com, comes in. Skillshare is the online learning platform with more than 19,000 classes taught by practicing experts. On Skillshare, you can learn everything from video editing to social media marketing to ebook formatting and Google AdWords. There's a huge variety of subject matter on pretty much anything you'd want to learn. The bite-sized classes are perfect for professionals who want to advance their career and for side hustlers who want to expand the skills you need to grow your business. How it works is you get unlimited access to all these classes for a low monthly price. You never have to pay per class again. It's all on demand, and the catalog has some pretty awesome stuff. Now, the best part is Side Hustle Show listeners can try Skillshare for 2 months for just 99 cents. I think you're going to love it. Go to Skillshare.com/sidehustle to get started today. That's Skillshare.com/sidehustle for 2 months of unlimited access for just 99 cents. All right, my top takeaways from this call with Paul. Number 1 is to build leverage. In one of my mastermind groups, there's this guy, Rob, who everybody else kind of aspires to be like in terms of work-life balance. He's always off skiing or sailing or doing some other crazy adventure. And the business logic he put forth was this: for every new project you take on, is it ultimately going to cost you time or save you time on a weekly, daily, weekly, or monthly basis? And if you're signing up for a new commitment, is that worth it? In Paul's case, the time he spends on his group program every month probably replaces several hours of would-be one-on-one coaching time. So that's the way he's built time leverage into his business. Something I've been thinking a lot about lately: how to serve more people as effectively as possible and make it worthwhile without adding a ton of extra time commitment to the calendar. With everything you do, ask, is this going to cost me time ongoing, or is it going to save me time? Build leverage. Takeaway number 2 is to think about the transformation. In fitness, it's all about the before and after pictures. In Paul's business, it's about taking wannabe authors and turning them into authors. How can you get people from point A to point B in a way that makes sense for them and is worthwhile for you? What's the transformation you can lead people on? Remember, your customer is the hero and you're the guide. Takeaway number 3 is to sell it. The other big thing that made this work is that Paul wasn't afraid to sell it. He'd seen firsthand the impact self-publishing had on his own life, and he was eager to help other aspiring writers for a price. That transformation he's promising is worth quite a bit to the right customers, and I think he's done an excellent job of sourcing those people and selling it. Even though I've been in sales for, in one form or another for more than 15 years, and the truth is, we're all in sales, it's still something I know I could be better at, and that's why I love watching master salespeople at work, and thought Paul's bit about future pacing was really cool. But those were the takeaways for me. Build leverage, think about the transformation, and then go sell it. Definitely kicking around what a potential future Side Hustle Nation group might look like. But what do you think about this episode and this business model? Let me know in the comments. SideHustleNation.com/Paul. We'll get you over there. While you're there, you'll also be able to download the free PDF highlight reel summary with all of Paul's top tips from the call. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, let's go out there and make something happen. And I'll catch you in the next edition of the Side Hustle Show, where you'll hear from a friend of mine who recently sold his side hustle for over $400,000 and the guy who bought it. I'll see you then. Hustle on.
Thanks for listening to the Side Hustle Show at www.sidehustlenation.com.